Is, if they are themselves in an evacuation center, if it's a fire, if there's any information as to whether their power's coming back on during a PSPS. 211 gets the information that we provide directly from the county, so directly from the Office of Emergency Services. The whole team cares. We're all local community members. We all just want to help.
So we were all sleeping in bed on Thursday, November 8th in Paradise. And first the house phone rang, picked up my phone. It was my sister who lived a block or so away from us.
We were woken by a telephone call from my daughter. She said that we were being evacuated.
I left sooner than them. I had everything ready. They were on the way out the door.
There was not time to think about what you're going to take, what you're not going to take.
The night before the fire, I knew it was a red flag warning, and I knew that it was a high risk. So on my way home, I filled up the tank.
On our way out, we didn't get too far from the house, and we're watching fire coming down the hill.
There was a machine shop right to my right there. And it had gas tanks and propane tanks. And I saw a lone ember kind of floating through, dancing through the air. And I watched it as it landed on the machine shop. In the time it took me to get my phone back into hand and to take a picture, it was engulfed in flames. And I knew that within moments it would start exploding and I would be dead. And just as I moved out of the range of the explosions, they started happening, and I prayed for the people behind me.
10-minute drive normally to Chico became almost 4 hours. So it was a long trip.
We started to hear a pattern. People kept telling us their story of how they escaped the campfire. And they talked about how if it wasn't for my neighbor who came and knocked on my door to tell me there was a fire, I don't know that I would have gotten out alive. If it wasn't for my son who lives next door picking me up and putting me in their car and driving me out of there, I don't know how I would have survived. And so I started really thinking about this connection between isolation and how connected you are to your community, to your neighbors, to your friends, to your family, and how that can be really helpful in a time of a disaster.
So we were actually the beneficiaries of someone making that plan in advance to have that group of people that they were going to call. And that she saved my life that day. So absolutely having that network really saved lives.
Find your five. The idea is that, find trusted allies that can be there and can be responsive and will check in with you if a disaster were to happen.
So we recommend that you put people in your network that are down the street, that are maybe the next town over, that are outside the county, and maybe even outside the state.
The final tier of the Ready, Set, Go is that go piece, and it's simply that, it's go. Evacuation information comes in two types. The first type could be an evacuation warning. This is essentially information that we're going to push out to the public, notifying them of a potential threat in their area where they may have to evacuate their home. And an evacuation order is essentially that. We are telling people that it's time to go. There is an imminent threat to life, and we do not believe that you have much time to leave the area.
Code Red is a opt-in alerting system that will dial your number. It'll send you a phone call, a text message, and an email notifying you of an emergency. That message is sent from our office, the Office of Emergency Services. It's going to be very targeted to your area, and it'll be specific to you.
At 5:13, the phone rang with the Code Red call. And so as I was going up 49, I could look over to the left and see the flames in the canyon.
The next layer is for staff to actually be out driving in the areas with a high-low siren. There's no other reason you'll hear that in an area unless we're putting out that evacuation order, not a warning, but an order.
My day started routine patrol.
Well, good morning. Boy, 10/11/2022. I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Mr. Rose, would you lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States. Thank you. So, Julie, are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
None that I'm aware of, Chair.
Okay, great. Well, then we're just going to move right into general public comment this morning. That's where members of the board or members of the public shall be allowed to address the Board of Supervisors on items not appearing on today's agenda that are of interest to the public and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Speakers are encouraged but not required to give their name and district of residence. Please direct your comments to the board, not the audience or staff, and no individual may speak more than once during public comment. So, and with that, we're just going to open that up. I want to remind people that we do still have the call-in feature at 530-270-3474. And of course, you could have sent your comments in during email and be able to come and speak here in the meeting room. So please welcome and come on up to the dais.
Well, good morning, board. It's been a while since I've addressed you. I hope you're all doing well. Today is going to be another day where I give you a history lesson. As before, as a citizen auditor, I was informing you about certain aspects of our voting system, especially our voter registration list that were way out of date. But today, it was still going to be on the theme of elections, but we're going to take a step back into history. And as a board governing by this county, you really need to be aware of what happened in 1960. Now, I don't think that any of you were able to vote in 1960. I know I wasn't. But in the November 8th general election, the great people of this state of California passed a particular measure on the ballot. And it's one that I think that every board of supervisors throughout the state should be aware of. So my suggestion to you is, as a board, is do a little bit of history look. Get in there, do the research, find out what happened on November the 8th. Read everything that happened that day. It might surprise you. So without further ado, I'm going to say goodbye to you for 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks we'll address this again. Goodbye.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Randall Strawson, and I live in District 1, and where we have a well-documented and long-standing history of outdoor events, both permitted and not. I appreciate the opportunity to comment on the 2020 Outdoor Event Ordinance pilot. I actively commented and supported the original 2014 Outdoor Event Ordinance and recently suggested 3 specific amendments to the 2020 Outdoor Event Ordinance pilot that I feel are essential. At the September 27, 2022 Board of Supervisors meeting, I focused on the first of these necessary amendments. Given the increased risk of wildfire posed by these events, I requested that no outdoor event permits be given to any rural residential properties in a Tier 3 fire threat zone. This morning, I would like to briefly focus on the second of these essential amendments. No outdoor event permit should be granted to any rural residential property that is not at least 5 acres and surrounded on all sides by properties that are also at least 5 acres. The spirit of the original language is clear. Nobody would argue that it's okay to have these loud, large-scale events in neighborhoods with compact lots. In my neighborhood, a 13-acre parcel that has been holding events since at least 2007 has 2 adjacent parcels that are at least 5 acres. but also has 7 adjacent parcels that are 1 or 2 acres. So effectively, this situation is no different if the event were on one of these smaller parcels. Clearly, this is not in the spirit of the outdoor event ordinance, either in its original 2014 version or the 2020 pilot version. Please help restore the peace and quiet of our rural residential neighborhoods. Amend the 2020 outdoor event pilot so that not only the host property, but also all the adjacent properties must be at least 5 acres to be eligible for consideration. Any property not meeting both of these standards should automatically be denied an outdoor event permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Diana Gamzon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada County Cannabis Alliance. And I'm here this morning to show my appreciation for the significant uptick of enforcement against egregious cannabis farms this summer and fall. I want to especially thank county staff for all their efforts on the ground and for your leadership to pass policy to provide staff with the necessary tools. As we build a professional and honorable legal cannabis industry, the egregious cannabis farmers are harming all of our efforts. So thank you so much for all of the work that's been done.
Thanks, Diana.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. 2 quick things. I urge a no vote on Measure V because I think it's really deceptive. My other quick point is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you go on to 49, right out of Brunswick, just before you get to on the way towards Dorsey Drive, you always hit a bump if you're in the middle lane. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I hope Caltrans will fix that because eventually somebody's going to get lose control there. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Lee French, Alta Sierra. Tonight is the Measure V meeting at the Alta Sierra Country Club, put on by Ed Schofield under his direction. Thank you, Ed. And I want to encourage everyone to go to that. Do not vote until you know what's in it. And this is a good chance to find out just really what it is. Don't vote for it just because it sounds good or looks good. I think you need to know all of the details that are in there, ask those questions, and then make your decision to vote. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lee.
I think you all know my name, but my name is Matthew Coulter. I'm running for Grass Valley City Council, and I was beaten viciously by friends of Dan Miller's on South Auburn Street, breaking my bones, being thrown in jail for 30 days. So I learned a lot about being in our local county jail for 30 days. I learned how to make fentanyl, rainbow fentanyl. That's pretty cool. Also learned a lot of other criminal elements from the people I was locked up with. But worst of all, the medical care there is non-existent. I was peeing blood for weeks until I was taken to the hospital with CT scans and x-rays. Multiple broken bones, lots of x-rays. I'm not even supposed to have x-rays because of my radiation that I have. So the medical care over there, and no, I was also taken to an orthopedic surgeon in town too to say that I need rods in my fingers because they're so broken. But that took weeks after being incarcerated. And then it takes weeks to get the appointment. So these injuries are sustained and long-lasting on me. Our elections commission doesn't want to do anything about the illegal election activity in Grass Valley because Grass Valley is its own entity, and the city clerk is in charge of the elections there. And Greg Diaz can't even talk to the city manager, so there's no communication allowed or even recommended. He just can't deal with Tim Kaiser, the city manager of Grass Valley. I have a restraining order here that allows me to Grass Valley City Council meetings, yet they've kept me from the city council meetings illegally, repeatedly. Was in the police station yesterday trying to clear it up. Their words are they're going to allow me to go to the meeting tonight. It's not an allowance, it's the law. I went through this with lawyers and all kinds of stuff to maintain my access to local government, which you guys also have tried to squash repeatedly. But now it's become extremely violent, vicious with these attacks. I was taken to the hospital 4 times in an ambulance in the last 8 weeks. All these people saying I'm not going to make it to city council, verbally saying they're going to kill me. Yet nothing happens to them, no charges. So in a nutshell, you've got a rogue situation going on in Grass Valley under Dan Miller. You got a rogue situation going on over there in the jail. You got a rogue situation going on with your police departments and law enforcement departments here in the county. And the DA is outrageous what they're doing. I received 8 restraining orders while I was in jail, 8 new ones, on top of the other dozen that I have already. And if you look at who they're all against, it's all against city people and their cronies, a very small group, I can count them on one broken hand, that have taken over Grass Valley government. I know you guys get a lot of money from Grass Valley, but there's no reason that the citizens should have to die on the streets and be beaten on the streets in broad daylight for you guys to receive your get. Thank you.
Point of clarification, I'm not quite sure what Mr. Coulter's talking about as far as my friends breaking his bones or rogue people in the city of Grass Valley. Totally misinformation. Mr. Coulter is probably stretching the truth a little bit.
Council is not responded to. I get to respond back when they respond to during public comment. Is that not the Brown Act?
It's not a dialogue, Mr. Coulter.
No, I'm not talking a dialogue. I mean response when attacked. During public comment, from that. It's right in the law. But you guys demand that.
Matthew, I really appreciate you coming. You made some good comments, and I think.
Well, let's follow the rules. That's the point.
So you made your comment, he made his, we're done. We're done with that. And I'm listening to you. I wrote down some information.
As far as the rules of decorum go, when he responds, I can respond back. Read it. Read your own rules.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Okay, with that, I think we have a written comment. Julie, would you like to bring that into record, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This email is from Daniel and Sonia Muirhead and their county residents. They're the owners of Cleanly Farms, a small 2,500 square feet cottage farm. They're happy to use this opportunity to express their opinion on the matter of support area usage. There are fixed costs associated with operating a farming business that are only alleviated through scale. Cannabis businesses are no different. For most of us operating a cottage permit of 2,500, if our tiny businesses and families are to survive through turbulent market fluctuations, we must be allowed to use as much of our already approved support area as possible. I would like to see the opportunity for small farms of 2,500 square feet to have the ability to farm in up to 90% of their support area. Thank you for your opportunity to comment.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Is there any other public comment this morning? Okay, and we don't have anybody on the phone, do we, Julie?
There's no callers at this time.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, then we're going to close general public comment, and we're going to move on to our consent calendar, which is items 1 through 11. These are items that are expected to be routine and non-controversial. These are either renewal contracts, amendments, or items that have previously come before the board. The Board of Supervisors will act upon them at one time without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion. Members of the public wishing to ask questions or hear discussion on those items under the consent agenda may now raise their concerns to the board members. And then we'll take that under the concern and consideration and to see if there's adequate reason to remove them from the consent calendar. So with that, I'm going to open up consent. Does anybody in the audience have any public comment on any of the items 1 through 11? Okay, Julie, is there any written comment on consent calendar?
There's no written comment, and I see that there's no callers for the consent calendar.
Okay, I'll go to my board then. I'm going to close public comment on consent. Does any of my board members have any item they'd like to have pulled?
Just number 7, resolution, assistance week.
Number 7 is item SR 221293, which is a resolution proclaiming October 6th through 12th, 2022 as Physicians Assistance Week in Nevada County. And that's fine, Hardy, I'll pull that. Are there any other items you'd like to have pulled?
Move approval of the
Been
consent
moved, is there a
agenda.
second to?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar, except for item number 7. Julie, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. District 3?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
And District 4?
District 4, yes. Okay, with that, I'm going to come back to item 7. And again, I already said, it's the resolution proclaiming October 6th as Physician Assistant Week. And Hardy, you asked for that pulled, so I'll let you take it away.
Oh, thank you, Chair Hook. I just wanted to mention, the language in the staff report mentions Tahoe Forest Health Systems, but really this resolution is a proclamation of physicians' assistants for our county, all the PAs in our county, both Dignity Health at Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital and Tahoe Forest Health Systems. I just want to mention that because obviously as we kind of emerged from COVID, we saw all of the physicians' assistants and nurse practitioners working double time and triple time and serving both the county and city needs and rural areas, and we've gotten presentations on that. But I just want to note that this is a resolution acknowledging Physicians Assistance Week for all of our medical professionals countywide, and I want to say in this meeting, thank you so much for the hard work that they've done during that period that we all went through with COVID.
That's great, thank you, Hardy, well said. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to comment on that? With that, I'll open up public comment on item number 7. Julie, there's no written public comment on that? Okay, I'm going to close public comment, and then I'll entertain a motion to pass resolution.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Julie, could you call the roll?
It's District 3?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
And District 4?
District 4, yes. Okay. Now we're going to go on to our morning. I don't think anybody needs a break, do we? So we'll just move right into our first community presentation. And today we're gonna have a resolution proclaiming October 14th through November 11th, 2022 as United Way of Nevada County Kickoff Month. And with that, I'd like to introduce Steve Rose.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'd like to kick off the United Way campaign. Next slide. I'm Steve Rose, the HR Director for Nevada County. I'm here with Louise Reed, Executive Director for United Way of Nevada County.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here today. Our focus at United Way of Nevada County is to work with community partners to assure that individuals and families in our community are able to meet their basic need for food and access to health care. Next slide. We currently collaborate with 19 partner organizations to identify and fill gaps in social services. Here are a few examples of what we've been able to accomplish. This past July, we partnered with California Care Force to bring a free health clinic to Grass Valley. 613 patients received 2,686 medical, dental, and vision services. That's over $300,000 worth of healthcare services that were brought into our community. Our goal is to sponsor this clinic every 2 years. my place. Oh, since 2017, United Way of Nevada County collaborated with Interfaith Food Ministry to provide food over the weekend to those in need. As of August, the Food Access Saturday program has distributed over 14,000 bags of food to over 6,000 people in our community. The success of this program has enabled us to expand it to every Saturday beginning this September. We've also partnered with IFM in September of 2020 to run the school pantry program. The program, which provides dinner and snacks to students and their families, started at Nevada Union High School and has since grown to all area high schools, plus Arete Charter Academy, Williams Ranch Elementary, and Ready Springs Elementary. We are working to continue to expand that program. Our other current programs include Project Warmth, our warm clothes collection that begins on November 1st. For those who are interested, there'll be a box out in the lobby, and we'd love your help. And single care cards, which provide prescription discounts through United Way Worldwide program. Our partner agencies do amazing work in this community. We wanted to give you just a few examples today. We will be highlighting these organizations throughout the campaign. Bright Futures for Youth focuses on health and wellness, healthy relationships, goal setting, self-sufficiency, and more for the youth of our community. The Food Bank of Nevada County provides food distribution throughout the county and works with other agencies so that they too can help feed our community. Gold Country Senior Services provides our seniors with a greater sense of security, including good food, warm homes, and times with friends. Freed works with people with disabilities to promote independence and self-determination. Sierra Roots works with our homeless population to provide them with the help they need to get back on their feet and in a safe home. And Partners in English Language Learning provides individualized tutoring to English language learners. From all of us at United Way of Nevada County, both staff and board, thank you for your hard work, dedication, and generosity. We look forward to continuing to work together for the good of our community.
Oh, that was a great presentation. Thank you. It's just amazing sometimes just to really see how much outreach goes into our community and what you all are doing.
Thank you.
And I know Steve is a great proponent of getting this kicked off through the county, and excited so much to have the book exchange back this year. That is a real thrill. I know a lot of people, plus it's fun to see the people come in and you just get to have those conversations that are really, we've been missing. So looking really forward to that. So if anybody has books they'd like to bring in, this is a good time for that.
They can do it this week up in HR from 9 to 3. Every day
Perfect,
this
there you
week.
go. So, and there's always a great selection out there, so. And then we're gonna kick off our own, and I'll let you talk about a little bit what we're gonna do here, Steve.
Sure. So we are kicking off our United Way campaign this Friday. Our slogan or our goal is $1 per pay period per employee. If we were successful on that, it'd be over $20,000 donated to the United Way. We are doing 100% payroll deduction in an automatic form, so there'll be emails sent out every week so employees can do that. And like Chair Hook said, we are having the book sale starting this Friday, and it'll go to the end of the campaign.
Fantastic. Heidi, did you wanna make any comments?
Thank you. That was such a quick presentation. I have to say, I'm really, every year I do my own giving, and so, United Way has all these long lists of places to go, and so I've always been a little confused by that. But I love that you're highlighting these particular groups this year, and they're all such worthy nonprofits. So that's exciting to me. I think you're going to get a whole new group of people potentially interested. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for spearheading that, and let's all contribute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan,
Dan.
You're Dan.
Yeah, Louise, it's nice to see that United Way checks off all the boxes, from youth, seniors, families, and the homeless, food insecurity. And so it's quite an accomplishment that you are able to touch all those bases with the different organizations. And I commend you for that work and what you're doing for our county. Thank you.
That's awesome. Ed?
Yeah, Lee, just a question. How much do you hope to generate during the campaign, not just the county, but the overall campaign?
Our goal, our fundraising goal for 2023 has yet to be certified by the board, but we're looking at about $200,000 for the year. That's our
And
goal.
that, you know, the program that I'm familiar with all the programs really, and they're great programs. The IFM one, are you totally responsible for the Saturday program now, or as far as the financial end of it?
We are totally responsible for one Saturday a month.
One Saturday a month, okay.
As far as the financial, and then we work together as, from a volunteer standpoint. So we try and make sure that there are United Way volunteers at every Saturday.
Yeah, you have some great partners, and I think highly of the IFM one, so. And again, I say I'm familiar with all these partners and actually have been involved with United Way in the past. So wish you the very best and thank you for your program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hardy?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And Steve, thank you so much for aggregating all of the employees. It's kind of the many hands make light work concept that we have the power to harness all of these staff members in Nevada County and hopefully the rest of the Nevada County community. So good luck on your goal. It's ambitious and I'll support you. I was thinking in District 5, because we are kind of, obviously we're in the East County, and Bright Futures for Youth, the Food Bank, and Freed all provide direct services and benefit to East County, so thank you for your support of those countywide organizations. Some of the others I weren't totally familiar with, but I'm sure they do as well. And just, again, like my colleague said, thank you so much and good luck to you.
I just think it's fantastic, and congratulations on 40 years. 40 years of giving to this community, that's a huge win for this. And, you know, and then I think we're looking at hopefully raising $150,000, and that's just Nevada County United Way, right? Correct? That's kind of our goal for the year?
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to thank you for the hard work that goes in, and the volunteers that come and actually make all these things happen.
We have amazing volunteers.
You do.
So
I
great.
just really, and I really appreciate you being here today.
And we'd love to have anybody else that wants to
That's right.
volunteer.
Come on down.
Come on down.
And come and be a part of this. It would be fantastic. I think that, you know, that's how the book program is going to be gone, by collaborating and volunteerism. So we're just happy to have that. And then we'll be looking for that coat box donation on November 1st, because hopefully we're going to have some cold weather and need some coats this year for sure. Well, with that, I'd like to open it up to public comment.
Matthew Coulter, Nevada County. I'd like to comment on the fact that I went up to the medical event and was turned away, even though I was there but far before closing, had all my veterans ID stuff. Our local veterans organization told me to go there for medical care. So I'm hoping the veteran need in the community can be recognized when we're mentioning these things and having events, because usually the stand down is kind of a Friday event. It goes to Saturday, but as far as the staffing from the county and the different organizations, there probably won't be anyone there Saturday. So I encourage all veterans that are interested to get there Friday and not wait, because even 2 o'clock people seem to drift away. So Friday morning, stand down, Nevada County Fairgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other public comment? Julie, do we have any written public comment?
No public comment on this item, Chair.
Okay, with that, I'll close public comment and come back to the board. Any last comments? I think that we just kind of covered it all, and we are so appreciative of this. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Hardy, second by Dan. Julie, could you call the roll?
Yes, thank you. District 3?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
And District 4?
District 4, yes. So with that, we are approved the resolution proclaiming October 14th through November 11th, 22 as United Way of Nevada County's campaign kickoff month in Nevada County. So we'll look forward to watching those dollars roll in. And again, if anybody has volunteerism that they want to come and do, to really reach out to you, and you guys can point them in the right direction. Even if it's that one day a week at Interfaith, that's a great place to really put in some time. So I want to continue to thank you with the way you partner with all the really important organizations in this community that help facilitate from all ends, from accessible needs that we have, as well as filling in. The food bank has been just incredible what we have going on over there. So thank you so very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for your support.
Steve, thank
3
you.
years of books, too.
Thank you.
Huh?
I have 3 years of books.
Yes, I know.
You can bring them upstairs. We're ready for all of them.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Okay, now we're going to go to our next item, which is 13 in our department heads, and I'm going to introduce Kristen Nyes, who's our agricultural commissioner, and Lucy Wilson, and they're going to be here doing our annual crop and livestock report. Welcome, Chris, Lucy.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Chris Nyes, your ag commissioner, and with me is Lucy Wilson, agricultural biologist. Here today present our 2021 annual crop and livestock report. The 2021 total gross value was $21,222,300, which represents an 8% increase over the 2020 year. With timber removed, we actually saw a 15% increase in our food crop, so that was pretty good news to see. It's important to stress that these gross values that Lucy will go over here in a second are just gross values. They not predict farm profitability or the economic contributions to the economy here in Nevada County. And they do not reflect the values of personal gardens or homesteads. So these are strictly commercial type operations. The report also highlights some of our activities over the past year in the department and supporting agriculture. And lastly, I just want to thank my staff, especially Lucy Wilson, who was instrumental in compiling this report, getting the data from our growers, taking the pictures, putting the crop report together, the layout of it, and she was very instrumental in, my gratitude to her on this because it was a lot of work, and very proud of this report. So I will turn this over to Lucy for some in-depth look at the report.
Good morning, Lucy Wilson with the Ag Commissioner's Office. And thank you for this opportunity to make this presentation. So first up, we have our overview of our vegetable, fruit, and nut crops, including wine grape crops and other nursery products, including nursery stock, cut flowers, and Christmas trees, and our timber values. And you can see, as Chris already mentioned, that generally the vegetable, fruits, and nuts were significantly up this year. And then we had some just sort of minor ups and downs in the other areas. We definitely saw some impact to the wine grape crops. Some of that was due to poor air quality that made some of the grapes unharvestable or unusable. Moving on to our livestock poultry and livestock products. Again, you can see almost consistently up on all the numbers, nice strong numbers there. Apiary went down slightly, but you can see that really is a direct correlation to a slight decrease in the number of hives from 3,300 in the previous year to 3,100. And that's, actually typical for just some of the variability in how many commercial growers are, how many hives are keeping going at any one time. And pasture and rangeland has continued to remain consistent over the several years. There's really no change there. Over the 10-year summary, a little hard to see some of the details. The blue line, of course, thank you. The blue line, of course, represents livestock, which tends to be the highest grossing category in our county. One of our features in the crop report this year was on water and the importance of water to agriculture. So I encourage you to take a look at some of the material that we've included in the report, but we did want to include this overview of the map that really highlights where our water comes from and goes to. In addition to the river systems and the lakes that you see, many of the lakes that you can see in the upper county in the high mountains are actually reservoirs that are built to help manage water movement throughout the year to the lower parts of the county and even on outside of the county into neighboring Placer and Yuba counties. And so a lot of those dark blue lines are actually, thank you, the canal systems that help to deliver that water to provide consistent water to farmers and agriculture throughout the year. We wanted to mention a new invasive species of interest called the spotted lanternfly. And you can see in its adult stage, it has some very distinctive coloring and plumage. They're rather large in size compared to some of our other invasive insects. Very colorful. It was first found in the United States in 2014 in Pennsylvania. It probably came as an egg mass that was imported on other materials. They will lay their eggs on any flat surface, including objects like the sides of trains, but most commonly we'll see them on tree trunks, but even sometimes on vehicles that have maybe been parked for a while, or garden items like patio furniture and barbecues. They like to particularly feed on the tree of heaven, which is also considered a pest as a weed species, but they also do seem to like a grape, both table grapes and wine grapes in North America. So for that reason, we are definitely keeping an eye on that. And we did begin trapping it for that insect to ensure that there's none being found in Nevada County this year. And as we've mentioned in the past, we have also an invasive weed control program. And this has many watershed benefits. It helps to safeguard our natural infrastructures, strengthen climate resiliency, protect our water resources, which we know are so important, decrease wildfire risk, maintain agriculture production, and provide recreational opportunities. And the dots that you see here on this map, focusing on the Truckee Basin, are all sites where we have historically gone to perform invasive weed checks and limit their spread. Some of the other things that we have done this year in the county, we have inspected approximately 6,000 packages and incoming nursery shipments looking for live exotic pests, both in weeds and insect form. We operated 424 insect traps that we placed throughout the county, again, looking for live exotic pests like the spotted lanternfly. Over 340 sites that were surveyed and treated for noxious and invasive weeds, similar to what we saw on the previous slide map. We issued over 200 pesticide permits, ensuring the safe use of pesticides. And we issued 27 certified producer certificates who are operating at 6 certified farmers markets throughout the county. And we also registered and oversaw 47 organic producer registrations in our county. And outside of agriculture, under the hat of weights and measures, we also inspected 813 weighing and measuring devices for accuracy for commercial use within the county.
This was awesome.
And we were able to participate in Farm Day again this year, which had been put off due to COVID for a couple of years. This year it was open to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders to try to make up for the missing years during COVID. There were over 800 children that came out and participated with over 30 different exhibitors from the community. With that, I will turn the presentation back to Chris.
Chair Hook, members of the board, excited this year to present our cannabis supplemental crop report. As you recall, last year we had a robust discussion regarding cannabis and its inclusion in the crop report. And as a result of your board order 21-01, for the first time ever, we have prepared a supplemental report on cannabis. We still had some issues trying to get some of the numbers, especially from Track and Trace. Our state partner at DCC, it's been difficult to get numbers with them, but we did our best we could. I think we got pretty good, accurate numbers here from our industry, so I want to thank our industry. And I'll turn it over to Lucy, but before I do that, I just want to ask that after this report that the board does close board order 21-01. So, Lucy, go ahead.
We were able to go back historically to get a comparison for 2021 as well as 2020. And we looked at the number of, and I have to apologize, it says authorized cannabis permits, ACPs actually stand for annual cannabis permits, although they were authorized as well, it's not totally incorrect. So in 2020, you can see we had 57 approved operations here in our county. That basically doubled in 2021 to 112. You can see similarly that the acreages doubled from 9 acres in 2020 to 18.74 acres in 2021. And based on tax assessments, they had an estimated value in 2020 of $11.9 million and $12.4 million this last year. And again, we could not compile this information without the help from all of our farmers and other industry representatives who helped provide this information to us voluntarily. We would not be able to produce the report without their help. Are there any questions?
Well done, well done. Well, we'll just start right off with questions. It's always interesting to see how diversified our little community is. You know, when you look at the size of our county and what we produce here is pretty darn amazing. And I can't imagine the work that goes into putting this thing together. So thank you, Lucy, and all your team. I know some of us really drag our feet about getting our reports in. Neela, it was a new experience for her this year, I will say. When you're handing that over to the families and getting them to figure out how to know how many pounds of beef or, you know, because the questions are a little bit different as far as what you do and sell. I know Dan's telling me I'm talking too much, so here we go. But I just want to thank you because I know it's a lot of work. And, you know, when I look at this report from cannabis, it's always interesting to see. It shows how that market in any kind of agriculture fluctuates. When you look at the timber one on here, I thought that was really interesting. And
That's my question.
okay, well, I'll go from there. Dan, would you like to start with questions?
Timber's down $1 million. Is that because of wildfire? Is that have an effect on it?
Yeah, so Sierra Pacific Industries is our largest timber harvester in their county, and in their region, it expands to include not just Nevada County, but also El Dorado, Yuba, Sierra, Placer, as part of their region that they're operating for their unit. And so if there are wildfires in neighboring counties within their same unit, they will always prioritize to go in and do salvage operations in those counties and let the current stands that may have been slated to be harvested here, for example, go for another year or two.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, Dan. I mean, that's the critical point for logging and recovery. And that's one of the things that we've been fortunate that we haven't had to do that here right now. So it's nice that they can be nimble and change from county to county where they work and do that. Hardy?
Yeah, thank you. Good report. Just a couple quick questions. Specialty crops, what is included in specialty crops? I think it was a second slide, possibly?
In the livestock?
Yeah, you had the summary of cattle and everything.
Yeah, so specialty crops or specialty for livestock, that's mainly like our
alpacas,
livestock youth auction at the fair.
Okay.
So a lot of, you know, the 4-H FFA kids that raise livestock over the year sell at the fair for.
So a little bit of revenue, but
Yeah, a
still
little bit of
in
revenue,
that same category. Okay, great, thanks. And I was happy to see the cannabis addendum put in there and added all of that as a crop report. Great to see. And then are we responsible for certifying the organic cannabis farms as well?
So that's the OCal program, which is run by the state. You know, that program is still somewhat up and running right now. We are not involved in that at this moment, but not to say that maybe in the future we may be involved.
Okay. And then one last question. The bees, the apiary portion, are we seeing, and over time, are we seeing that that's a resilient type of activity, or are we seeing difficulty in that? Or I know sometimes bees can be a great kind of reflective source of data for the general environment. Any idea on that?
Yeah, if you're kind of asking then that small fluctuation in the number of hives, I would actually attribute that to some changes in commercial beekeeping ownership in the county right now. We've had some people sort of sell parts of their business, and then the new owners are kind of figuring out what they're doing with their business. So I think we're seeing just more a reflection of some of the owner activities than problems with health with the hives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then one final question is, does your department deal with any of the crops related to cannabis and hemp, the difference between those, or is that all done in Cannabis Enforcement Division?
So, as you may recall, 2020, the county and your board put a prohibition on the growing of industrial hemp through the land use code. So we do not have industrial hemp right now in Nevada County, and so any cannabis-type plant would be treated under the Cannabis Division as an illegal cannabis grow.
Okay, and that would be handled through?
Cannabis compliance.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ed?
Well, Dan asked my first question, and Hardy asked his second question, but a little follow-up on that one was the honey one. It wasn't that long ago we did an ordinance on the honey, and I think it had a lot to do with folks coming in with hives during off-season and kind of competing with the local. Has that situation improved? Did that ordinance have any impact on the decline? And I think you've kind of answered the decline, Lucy, that part of it, but has that ordinance had an impact?
Yeah, I believe very much so. It has a great impact on our local beekeepers. I think our beekeepers are very appreciative of that ordinance. Allows them to stay kind of afloat in some of these difficult situations, especially with the drought. You know, we see the production kind of down, but the value up. You know, the past couple of years with drought, that means little wildflower production as well. So, you know, having a stocking density here in the foothills where our beekeepers can survive is definitely, that ordinance has definitely helped them out quite a bit this past couple of years.
Very good news, because I know they worked hard to get that to us, so.
Yes, they did.
That's great. And the only other question I had was, the lanternfly, I don't recall seeing that one before. Is that something new that's to the area, or?
Yeah, that's fairly new, the past 2 or 3 years. You know, we haven't had any detections yet. It's something of definite concern, not only as a, you know, a pest on grapes, but many other crops as well, and something we do not want to be established here in California. On the East Coast, they actually have a outreach to have the public, when they see it, stomp it, basically. And so it's something they want to get rid of, or we don't want to actually occur in California. So we're definitely vigilant in making sure that it does not show up here in California.
So thank you, Chris and Lucy. It's always a good report.
Okay, Heidi.
Yeah, thank you. This is beautifully done and very, very interesting. Always generates a lot of questions, I think. Looks great. It's great to see increase in vegetables and nursery products and livestock that our ag industry is doing pretty well. I'm also thinking, isn't it fair to say, I mean, the drought has affected us, mostly the trees, but we haven't had any restrictions on water, so it really shouldn't be affecting our ag industry too much yet. Would that be accurate at this point?
I think locally, you know, NID, who's our main source of surface water deliveries, they're in very good standing from what my understanding.
Yeah.
They have good water supply. Across the state, not so much. And so there is a statewide mandatory drought declaration. And so that also impacts our local water district.
Okay.
You know, so there are some voluntary cuts being done at NID. You know, the irrigation season is almost over. So I think we're going into next year in decent shape, you know, but we definitely need more rain. But locally, I think, you know, our producers haven't experienced the issue with drought so much. It's the lack of rain. It's the, you know, wetting of the fields in the early season. It does require a lot of water. And the heat. I mean, the heat this past summer has been brutal. And so we have to keep up with that. So we're definitely feeling the effects from the climate, but we are in much better position than most places in California.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. And then, you know, I was just at the Sierra Harvest Luncheon recently where they're trying to get more So basically bringing in fresh local foods for school lunches. And I know there's that group, the Sierra Food Group, that's looking to increase demand for local products. Are you working with them, or are you involved with that? Because that's a great way to increase our ag production too, I would say.
Yeah, so and we definitely work with Sierra Harvest and the Food Policy Council on that 20 by 25.
Policy Council, that's
Yeah,
it.
we definitely are very involved with them. Support them any way we can. It's the matter of getting, farmers up here, having the land available for them to grow on.
Yeah.
Is the issue.
Yep. And then are we tracking that, sort of the increase in small farms and the increase in, are we tracking that somehow?
Yeah, I mean, we have a historical, we keep historical records of our crop reports, and we could go back, many, many years. I think you've got 50 years of data probably.
I think the earliest ones go back to 1948.
Wow. It might be interesting to see that, sort of how we're doing on the local food production. And then I'm very pleased to see also the cannabis report this year. Look forward to having more information than that. I know it's difficult to get. But I'm also, this looks like, it's unfortunate to see that while the acreage has gone up, the value hasn't gone up that much, obviously, with the sort of crash in the legal market. But I'm looking at the totals value from the other groups, and cannabis still has the most value out of all of these groups with just the permits we have. So that's fascinating, and that's why I think we really need to keep viewing it as an economic driver for this county, and keep making sure we do everything we can to support the legal market, and then report out on it so we can see how it's doing. So thank you for getting that started. Is there, just a follow-up on the organic cannabis program, is there a reason we're not involved yet? Is that just because it isn't that mature yet, or?
Typically, like the conventional organic program, that's done through third-party certifiers with like a county department kind of oversight. So I think they're modeling after that as well. So there are a lot of the big name, like CCOF is the big certified organic certifier in California. They're involved in it, and so I think we'll see more of that. I think the cannabis industry is still growing. It's still trying to find its niche, especially here in Nevada County, trying to find its niche, and the OCal program is something that maybe some growers may explore.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Great report. Thank you very much.
I know this has been great. There's so many good questions. I mean, the invasive plant report always just, you brought up the tree of heaven. And I just noticed that huge burst we're having, that should be an invasive species, but it's not actually considered one, if I'm not correct, am I correct?
Tree heaven is considered an invasive species. It's something that we don't actively pursue to control. It has burst the past couple of years. With the drought situation, they're invasive species for a reason. They do very good in drought situations. So we're definitely seeing our invasive species popping up quite a bit. We've been focusing mainly on things we've been trying to control for many decades. I mean, we've got, since the 80s or before that, we've been controlling invasive weeds. So, our kind of philosophy is to kind of not lose any traction on the current species we're trying to control, and then try to branch out as we can and control new species as possible. But
No, that's great, because I noticed star thistle was a lot heavier this year because the vegetation couldn't get ahead of it before it allowed it to sprout. So it's really been interesting. It's always interesting to watch what weather does with all of our crops, whether you are farming or ranching. You can really see the difference in that. I always think it's interesting too. I wish people could look at that really. If you look at what our farmlands encompass here, 7,700 acres basically, and our grazing land 133. And these folks do a lot to, just besides farming and ranching, as they do fire safety in our community, right? They don't get a lot of credit for that. But so I always like when people can look and see what those numbers really are in our community, and what people are actually doing on that side of things as well. And then one other thing I wanted to say, I really like the water report. I think that's incredibly critical. I don't care what we do here, what kind of agriculture. Water is that commodity that we all live and love. And it was interesting, like we're just talking about this cannabis great report. I know it could be way more in depth because I visit with these folks, but it's interesting when you look at how it had gone down. I can tell you fruits are going to be way down in Nevada County next year. We had an early freeze, so I know we didn't have peaches, cherries, in a lot of areas. There might be some that were tucked in that got saved. So it's always interesting with agriculture, the ebbs and flows of what we have and what goes here. But I just like to give a shout out for anybody that does do agriculture, because it's a labor of love. It truly is. And it is more than just growing. It's about being a steward of the land. So I just always love this report because you really highlight all that. So with that, I'm going to open up public comment. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chris Hennis, Rock Creek Ranch in District 1. We're a licensed cannabis cultivator, and I would like to thank you for including cannabis in the crop report every year. I think one of our main goals is to get cannabis as part of the mainstream agriculture in this county. If we include all the illegal grows, we'll find that the economic impact of cannabis in this whole economy of Nevada County, it's a pretty big impact. So I think in the future we'll see that increase as we get more and more growers legalized. I also would like to thank you for increasing the enforcement activity on the illegal growers. The market in cannabis right now is pretty tough. And until we get that illegal growing activity under control, it's going to be real difficult for us illegal growers. And lastly, I'd like to thank Dan Miller for his efforts and work over his career here. I know he's retiring soon, and I want to thank him for, I know we disagree on a lot of things, but I wish him the best. And thanks for, had a good time playing golf together with his son. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Chris. We've come a long way.
Hello, my name is Diana Gamzon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada County Cannabis Alliance. We are your trade association here in the county, representing over 160 licensed cannabis businesses. I want to share my appreciation to Chris and Lucy for their diligence in creating a thorough report. And we are very excited to see the Nevada County agriculture industry increase by 8% since last year. With more farms coming online, we are lucky to live in a community that provides so much support for our farmers and ranchers through the Farm Bureau, Sierra Harvest Farm Academy, NCRCD, and so many others. I'm here to recognize the historical importance of cannabis being included as a crop in the supplemental crop report. Nevada County's Mediterranean climate provides ideal growing conditions for cannabis farming, and our region has become known worldwide for prized and highly sought-after strains. The results of the crop report presented to you today show that last year, cannabis represented 18 acres in total and was valued at over $12 million of our total, $12 million, which is more than half of the total value of our 2021 agriculture assets. And the 18 acres of micro cannabis farms represent 0.5% of the total acres of harvested cropland. The total harvested cropland is 3,316 acres in the county. By welcoming cannabis into the crop report, we see this as another step forward in removing the stigma associated with marijuana and recognizing the parallels between cannabis farming and that of general agriculture. Our cannabis industry has attracted national attention over the past few years. An example is a Vanity Fair article featuring a Penn Valley cannabis farm, which is farmed by a mother and a son team. In addition to cannabis farming, our farmers are diversified and proudly offer other agricultural products and services. Yuba River Organics has a weekly farm stand at the Grass Valley Farmers Market. Enlightened Earth Herbs also operates a medicinal and culinary herbs nursery, which supplies Briar Patch and other local businesses. River Star Ranch offers grazing to local livestock operators. Environmental stewardship in the legal cannabis is a cornerstone of the legal cannabis industry, and we are very proud that amongst the 14 California state certified cannabis farms in the entire state, 3 of those are here in Nevada County, with more farms in process for certification. As we look towards the future, we will continue to advocate for policies that bridge cannabis farming and the rest of our commercial farming community. allowing for value-added products to be made on the farm, direct-to-consumer experiences, and business flexibility to increase capacity if desired, are tools all farmers need in our community. Thank you for this historic inclusion.
Thanks, Diana. Is there any other public comment?
Matthew Coulter, Nevada County. About time. I look forward to being, when it's actually not a supplement, but it's actually part of the crop report, being that it's half the income. Being that I was prosecuted, the first person prosecuted in Nevada County after Prop 215 kicked in for patients' rights and made a felon here locally. Been fighting for equal rights for a long time, and this is part of it with patients' rights, cannabis versus the pharmaceutical industry that kills so many people every year. There still hasn't been a documented case of a cancer patient or an overdose on marijuana to death, unlike the 250,000 people in America a year that are killed by pharmaceuticals, not to mention all the people that are dying from fentanyl on our streets, which is just outrageous. So I encourage you to stop dragging your feet, and I'm glad that Dan has come around after all these years of being the largest person that just crushed it for so many years and crushed all the small farms. So now we're dealing with larger legal farms continually. And I guess one of my questions is, why is it so hard to find these places when anyone can look at Google Earth and see thousands of plants and know that it's not a legal situation? And yet we do a couple of token busts a year and say we're dealing with the problem. So it's bizarre because there's murderers and all kinds of things going on. Because when you get into profiteering, which a lot of people are into profiteering, there's no limits. They'll literally trade people for marijuana, and other drugs, because there's way more money to be involved with selling fentanyl than there is for marijuana. Yet, this is all the black market and a trade system that's going on, and it's unfortunate that it is the primary driving force of the industry here. I encourage Diana to keep going. She's been the only one that's been a voice for it here locally, continually for many years, and historic event being in the crop report. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to point out it's some good comments, and at a later meeting, there's going to be a report with our cannabis compliance group and what we're doing with enforcement. And so with that, and I do love some of the stuff and we'll talk more about cannabis at that time, about how some of these folks are so involved in the medical side of cannabis. Again, it's another part of this, and we'll just keep moving on. And I had an opportunity to go out and tour some farms the other day, and there's a lot of passion in what they do, just like there's a passion what I do with agriculture on my side. And I think it all is, we're moving ahead. We're making steps in the right direction. And the Cannabis Alliance, thank you, Diana, is who does that. That's a major group, and I encourage anybody in that organization to belong to the Cannabis Alliance, that you're stronger together, whether you're in Farm Bureau or any of those organizations that support agriculture. So I think that's important to be a part of your associations. So with that, I made myself, thank you. Do we have any written public comment, Julie?
Thank you, Chair. No written public comment, and there's no callers online this time.
Okay, perfect. Well, there's no other public comment. At this time, I'm going to close public comment. Come back to the boards real quick for last comments. Anybody? Okay.
I'll move to accept the report.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to accept the agricultural report. Julie, can you call off the roll?
I can, or you can do a voice vote if you'd like.
Okay, well then I will do, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, and with that, the board order 2101 is now closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the work you guys do. It's amazing. From weights and measures to bugs to weeds to livestock. So it's a large array of what you can do. And actually, I think wildlife predators, and you guys cover wildlife, and maybe we'll do a presentation on that one of these days coming up. So thanks so much. Okay, so we are going to move on to our next item. Does anybody need a little break? Are you all good? Okay, perfect. Well, then we're going to move on to this, and I'm just going to introduce, this is item 14, and Hardy, I'm gonna let you bring this above. This is your topic. We're gonna do the certificate for the Clean Tahoe program. And we have a presentation that looks like it's gonna be great.
Yeah, great. So I first got connected with this through Court Lev, who's a friend of mine in Truckee, and he has the Truckee Tahoe Litter Group on Facebook. And so early on in my tenure as a supervisor, he brought to my attention the significant issue we face with litter. And it kind of was a confluence during that period when we had this huge recreational impact from COVID. So we had all these people move to East County, primarily from the Bay Area, to work remotely. And then everybody was out enjoying the outdoors and doing things that they love, which is great. But we really didn't have a vibrant infrastructure to handle the trash and the waste. The other piece that we face in Eastern County is that we have freezing temperatures like 6 to 9 months out of the year. And so when trash is dispersed by bears and animals and pests, it freezes to the ground, so you can't actually pick it up, which is another piece that we have this big trash pickup component in the spring, which is kind of an eyesore, but it's also a health and safety risk. So anyway, Court and I shared a lot of dialogue about that, and it was actually the genesis for the CCC group in many respects to talk about the impacts that our tourist-based economy and recreation have on the environment. And so when this video with Clean Tahoe came out, Court sent it to me and I watched it and I was really moved by it. So I thought I'd bring it here to you and talk to you a little bit about what's happening. The group started in South Lake and North Shore and in the Tahoe Basin, but then it's progressed into the Truckee area, which makes it part of our business and part of our sphere of influence. So I wanted to bring that forward and really recognize the good work that you're doing. And we're going to watch the video, which explains it all better than I can. But I just want to thank both of you for coming all the way down here today. And I just want to say a genuine thank you and appreciation for the work you're doing. It can be thankless, but also at the same time, really the video highlights what you're doing out there and the work that you've done to bring it up, make it part of our presence and our discussion is making a difference. And I want to acknowledge that it's changing. And so congratulations to you, and I look forward to hearing from you and watching the video.
Fantastic. So let's watch the video first and then we'll go on with the conversation. How's that sound? Perfect. Here we go.
So we find this quite a bit. I was here last week, so this is new over the weekend. If we can keep this trash out of the bears, I think they'll be a lot healthier. For right now, I'm not gonna get too close to that culvert. There was a bear in there that hissed at me a few days ago, so I'm gonna let him be. Homeless camp here, we hauled out early in the summer. Was a full pickup truck load. Nobody else wanted to touch it, so we got it. I can see where people get frustrated with the level of trash and the fact that there's no one you can call to help mitigate. Coming out of Kings Beach, we do the neighborhoods. I spend a full day in Truckee, Glenshire, West River. Generally speaking, I'll have 4 to 5 of these bags full of trash. We've got 2 6-yard dumpsters, and we generally fill those every week. Pet owners, putting your dog poop in a bag and then leaving the bag. Thanks, dog owners.
If you're not doing this, who is?
Nobody. I'm it. Somehow we have to bring it back and put it back on people. I think people need to take responsibility. I think people need to just demand better of themselves and look forward to what future generations might might ask them, what their grandkids are going to ask them. Why didn't they do more? I think people will have something to answer for.
Okay, that was amazing and sad all in the same moment. You know, we look at how, oh, I mean, it just kind of it takes you back, doesn't it? It does. So, Katie, I'd just like to welcome you here today, and you're the director of Clean Tahoe.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The operations in North Shore are fairly new, and I'm really proud of those 5 agencies. We really hustled a year ago to get those operations off the ground. Placer County, I mean, I've never seen so many public agencies work so well together to get something off the ground, and I was just so proud to be part of it. And the field staff that we have out there, we're hustling, making moves, and cleaning stuff up. And I think really becoming part of the community, you know, getting to know each community that we serve, and it's been really powerful, and I think, and also really helpful.
So one of the questions there, I'm just going to throw that real quick, is that you can't do volunteers, and because it probably is a liability.
In the transient camps, our
Okay.
board doesn't feel comfortable with having volunteers go out there, and understandably so. That problem is more bigger in South Lake than it is here, and the transient camps that we have cleaned out in Truckee have been much smaller than what we see in South Lake.
Interesting. And Corey, you produced this, am I correct? Well done. Like I said, it just kind of hits you right there. You just wonder. And whoever the gentleman was that you did, just give him my thanks as well that he participates, because what a job. Makes us all think. It really does make you just sit down and think. Are you a cohort, or are you South Yuba Citizens League? Same idea. You know, when you look at the amount of trash that we're out picking up in this beautiful, beautiful area that we live, why? Why? Continue to educate, and that's what you all are going to do. This was amazing, Hardy. I'm glad you brought this forward. It's just another recognition of folks that are doing some amazing work in our community to keep us beautiful and the communities that we are. This was huge. Yeah, I mean, it was not in depth, it just, I guess I just am shocked. It just.
I was going to mention one of the things that I have seen, and maybe Court will support me, and maybe he'll oppose this statement, but in 2021, summer 2021, I saw a market, it was much more pronounced in 2021 than it is in 2022. And the county's been a direct partner in creating some solutions, right? So we have trash cans, we partnered with VTT in East County, we've given out micro grants, we've done the recreation grant program. So we've done some things to bring solutions for restrooms and trash capabilities to definitely areas in District 5 and all over the county, right? The whole entire grant process that you and I were a part of. So I think it's getting slightly better. There's a lot more work to do. And one of the questions I always ask myself is, from a policymaking standpoint, the people that are up here, what can we do to assist you? And I know that we're thinking about, you know, maybe potentially being a partner to this, but what else can we do as policymakers to help you facilitate the work that you're doing?
I think enforcement is a big one. Animal and trash issues. South Lake just banned plastic water bottles. I mean, there's things that can be done to kind of eliminate the trash, but honestly, people produce so much trash every day. It's tough, you know. I think what Clean Tahoe is really trying to do is just raise the bar. You know, we're in the community every day, walking the streets, talking to people, and my hope is that they see that we're committed to keeping the place clean and that they want to do the same.
Yeah, this is amazing. Ed, did you have something you want to say? You want to ask a question or anything?
Well, I don't really have any questions. Thank you for what you're doing. And my only thought is that it needs to be many teams of you as you move anywhere you go in these Sierra foothills and up in the high Sierras. It's kind of, you guys know with the South Yuba better than anybody. the impact that it's having on our rivers and all of our recreation areas, so thank you.
Yeah, it's huge. Dan?
Well, with 15 million visitors each year to the Truckee Tahoe area, you got a big job. But it's, you know, you got to have a passion. But the Truckee Tahoe area is a gem in California and Nevada. And I think what your efforts are doing is showing the importance of, you know, humans create trash. And unfortunately, like Sue mentioned, Circle and the Yuba River, same thing. Visitors come in, they leave their trash, and they really don't have an appreciation. And I thank you for the appreciation you have for it and the work that you're doing. So thanks.
Heidi?
Yeah, thank you, Hardy, for bringing this and enlightening us to this organization and what you're facing up there. And where would we be without our nonprofits? Thank you for creating this and doing the work. I know it's got to be a huge amount of work to collaborate and get everyone on board and make it work. But clearly you're having a great impact. Yeah, I wish we could do more to educate folks, and maybe that's something that can happen in the future with grants. But it is a matter of personal responsibility. My mother grew up during the war, and so I was raised to not waste anything, food or anything. And then when I was a kid, the recycling was a big deal, and so, you know, I brought that ethic home to my family. And once you learn not to waste, you don't do it again. And I don't know how we solve that, but I just call on people to be better about that, to create less trash and be responsible with the trash they do create. And in the meantime, we're lucky to have groups like you helping to pick it up. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, it just keeps coming back. It's huge. And plus you got bears. Although we have bears now, which is very interesting. You know, the bears have kind of moved this way a little bit. So I hear a lot of that from my folks up in North San Juan area that,
It's all the tourists, there's so much activity, the bears are just.
they're just are checking everything out, but they do make a mess. That was a little bit, when he told me the bear was in the culvert, I thought, yeah, I think I'd miss the culvert too. But yeah, and that just showed they had a big container around the one place that they can crawl over too, which is really interesting. So, yeah, it's always just enlightening. I have the transfer station in my district, so I am so in tune to how much we waste. It's just the craziest thing to me. I love some of the ideas that are happening in Lake Tahoe, Truckee area that, you know, we can all keep incorporating and educating, educate. Shouldn't have to educate people not to leave their garbage outside. So hopefully people can just take a vision, just looking at the pictures, like when you look at the lake and you look at the area and the trees where we live hiking on our trails, we should never find garbage there.
Yeah.
We should be embracing that.
One of the big challenges too is that with the visitors, like we have day travelers now, that's a big part of our economy. So people come up just for the day instead of for the entire weekend. And making them understand that they're part of our community, right? Because if you take ownership in something, you don't leave trash, right? Most of the time in general, broadly speaking. And so that's the key, is making them feel like they have ownership and a stake in our community and a stake in the environment and conservation. And having that educational portion is something I think that the Board of Supervisors in Nevada County can help with. I think that's a pretty easy lift. I did have one quick question. Is there anything on the Facebook group that you see rising to the surface to talk about that we can do to help?
I think a lot of these issues, first I wanted to thank you, Hardy. Now we're on. Thank you specifically. I sent this video in a different version to about 40 different leaders around the lake, and you're one of 2 people that replied at all. So thank you for taking the time to that and bringing it up to your board. The issues that routinely come up, a lot of it comes down to funding. Every agency, I held a meeting a few years ago with California State Parks and PUD, and the one consistent theme has always been it comes down to money, which goes into education and enforcement. And sometimes both of those aren't obtainable due to resources. So a lot of people want to point the finger to out-of-towners, but I think trash is equally split probably in 3 different categories of accidental visitors and residents. So, but as Katie mentioned, enforcement on simple things where dumpsters are left open where they shouldn't be. Code enforcement needs to come in and start paying attention to that. I think that would make a big difference in trash that's just blowing around and eventually winds up into the rivers and the lakes.
Good. A good point. Ed, you had another question?
Well, not a question, but just an observation, you know. I ran the Nevada County Fairgrounds for many, many years, and something we learned at the fair was what you do in picking up makes a huge difference. People come in and they take pride in what they see. The more trash they see laying around, the more trash they're willing to just, what the heck, I guess that's what we're going to do. So the one example where you said you had been there a week before, that's probably just one group of idiots doing that. But for the most part, it seems to me the public, if they come into a clean area, they respect that clean area. So hopefully you're able to see some real progress in what you are doing. Thanks again.
Well, this was great. I'm going to open up public comment at this time. So is there any? I think it's a whole, there you go.
Matthew Coulter, Nevada County. I just want to thank you for what you're doing. Wish we had this on the West Slope because we really don't. I'm currently a Caltrans volunteer from Mill Street to Brighton Street, Highway 20, and was volunteer at Empire Mine for 10 years and picked up trash. And the amount of plastic bags with dog poops in it is just incredible everywhere. I mean, you can frickin' step from bag to bag almost. I mean, when you look at the environment, your eye catches these multicolored plastic bags just continually. And I don't know why. I've even watched the staff walk right past them. They won't pick them up. So I don't know who, because it's a biohazard thing maybe, they have to call in special people. But I guess I have a question for you. What do you do with your sharps? Because I have a huge collection that I can't give to. The police don't want them. The sheriffs don't want them. The pharmacies don't want them. What do you do with your sharps?
We take them to our transfer station. I would just talk to your waste hauler and see what they do, but we put them in you don't even need a sharps container, just some thick plastic, and we're able to fill them up, and then we take them to our transfer station.
Very good. And I think that's one of our problems here is you guys have a different waste management system up there. We have waste management in parentheses. And they're one of the largest contributors to roadside trash here because so much stuff falls off the automated trucks. It's just outrageous. And I picked up a piece of a whole section of road on Bennett Street, and once their recycling trucks, storage, I mean, they don't even store material there, it's just the trucks going back and forth. Once they started parking out there, I couldn't keep up. Every single day, the road is lined with trash. And it's right in their contract about how they maintain the trash, what they do with the trash, the areas of trash that they pick up as far as waste management, and they're not even living up to their contract, and that's part of our trash problem here in Nevada, the West Slope of Nevada County anyway. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Julie, do we have any written public comment?
There's no written public comment, Chair.
Okay. Well, then with that, I'll close public comment. Any last comments for the board? I do want to thank you, Hardy, for bringing this forward. It was a great presentation.
Thank you for having us, and thanks for court for donating your time, making the video, and couldn't do it without, we're a small but mighty team, and I'm really grateful for everybody that works with us, so thanks you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing. With that though, Hardy, we have a, I'll let Hardy read this. We're going to do a little picture with you guys. I think that'd be great. We want to recognize you with this resolution.
Read the whole thing?
Sure.
Okay. The County of Nevada Board of Supervisors takes great pleasure in recognizing the Clean Tahoe program and its dedicated crew for their significant contributions to the Truckee Tahoe community. Starting in 1988, the Clean Tahoe program was formed out of the necessity to address growing litter and illegal dumping throughout South Lake Tahoe. 2 years after the city of South Lake Tahoe and the County of El Dorado formed a joint powers agreement, Clean Tahoe became a separate legal public benefit corporation in 1994. Most recently, in July 2021, Clean Tahoe expanded their operations to serve the east and north shore of the Tahoe Basin through litter abatement, trash management, and public education. In the last year, Clean Tahoe has effectively implemented processes developed in South Lake to address trash problems in the greater Tahoe Basin, including within the Truckee region. In the last year, Clean Tahoe crew, comprised of only 6-person teams, who works Monday through Friday, has cleaned 402 animals in trash messes, 238 illegal dumps, and picked up 1,053,621 pounds of litter off the roadway. The Clean Tahoe crew has and continues to provide invaluable services to the Truckee and Tahoe region and stand as a testament to the values and commitment for a healthy community. Therefore, the County of Nevada Board of Supervisors does hereby take great pleasure in recognizing and thanks Clean Tahoe program and its dedicated crew for their significant contributions to the Truckee and Tahoe community.
I know, thank you. Thank you. And we like that, we do a picture party. Okay, does anybody need a little break, or we want to move right into the next one? No. It was just a certificate of recognition, yeah, so we're good. So with that, we are going to move in, unless anybody needs a little break, we're going to move into our next item.
So Chair Hook, I would
Oh,
recommend.
we have it at 11. We have about a 25-minute here. So, you're not gonna, okay, let's take a 5-minute. We'll come back and do some announcements. We'll do our announcements.
So Chair Hook, I would recommend after your break, we're able to go into closed session and then reconvene for the 11 o'clock item.
Can we do that in a half hour?
We can.
Okay, well, let's do that then. So let's do a quick 5 minutes, and then you want to just read us out now, and we can do that and then come back? Does that work?
That would work.
Okay, so if you'd read us out, Kit, that'd be great. We'll go into closed session, and then we'll be back at 11 o'clock for our 11 o'clock item.
Okay, so specifically, as stated in the agenda, County Council is requesting a closed session to discuss the existing litigation case, Amy Young versus Diaz, County of Nevada. And then the other matter is the County Council is requesting a closed session to determine whether litigation should be initiated by the county in one matter.
Okay, great. Well, with that, we'll go into closed session and we'll meet.
And is there any public comment?
Oh, we do that for, okay, sorry. Is there any public comment on closed session? Give that a closed public comment, and we'll recess to closed session, and I'll meet everyone back here at 11 o'clock. Great, well, we are back. It is 10:52. Kit, could you read us back in, please?
Yes, so related to the Young versus Diaz, information was provided, and related to litigation in terms of whether litigation should be initiated, it was voted that initiation should be initiated by the county against McKinsey and Company related to the opioid litigation. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kit. Well, we have a few minutes, so we're going to go through our announcements real quick before we start our 11 o'clock. And Heidi, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll be quick. I did the cannabis ride-along, like some of you had, and saw them use the drone to go after illegal enforcement, which was fantastic to see the use of it. I was pleased to see how they were managing that. I had a Resilient Counties call with NACO, the first one, so we'll see what that group ends up doing. I attended the Teacher of the Year Awards, which was wonderful, and the Sierra Harvest Lunch, which was absolutely fantastic to support both of those programs. I've been doing CSAC platform review the last couple weeks. We're developing our platform for next year that we'll vote on in November. And I'm actually going through all those documents and making sure our Nevada County values are reflected. We had a mental and behavioral health meeting, which was always educational. And then I did have a conversation with Lori Parlin on the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, and I'm figuring that all out. And then I attended a couple of meetings where our staff was educating the public on Measure V. There were 2 Firewise groups, Greater Cement Hill Neighborhood Group, the Cascade Shores Group, and the Realtors Association. So I've been there to provide my opinion on the topic. And I'll stop with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi. Dan?
Yeah, just several meetings with RCRC, Zoom calls and in person. We missed the announcement last time where we had our annual conference in Napa, which was a roaring success, and a lot of good things came out of it, good forums, good panel discussion. Had a Regional Housing Authority meeting, and then dealing with some cannabis operations in District 4 that they're going to be resolved, but it's a legal grow, and so everything seems to be moving along just fine. But other than that, just a lot of constituent issues.
Okay, Ed?
That is.
Well, we had a MAC meeting. We are bringing the Higgins area plan really headed for a conclusion. We've got the draft update and another meeting tomorrow night, bringing this together. ERC meeting, we had Dr. Neely and Dr. Gupkin speaking on their intern program, bringing doctors into our community. Very good program. Attended the SAFE program for homeless youth up at part of the Bright Futures program. That was very, very informational. Sierra Harvest Luncheon, I agree, very well done. Spent several meetings with our CSAC team as their treasurer and going through the audits. And just so you know, CSAC's audits are very clean. Went to the Workforce for Alliance open house, which is really a good program. I see these people when I go to NORTEC meetings or when they make a presentation here, but to really sit down and be able to talk to them and really get a feel for what's going on, how they work with our businesses, that too was a very good thing. Did a Lake of the Pines fire discussion. It's good to be through COVID and we can have these town hall type meetings and talk about fires and evacuation, that type of thing. Went very, very well down there. And I too did a cannabis ride along, really to see how the drone program works. That too was very enjoyable, informational too. And you can see that the drones are great, but they're not the answer to everything, just because of they can only be on the public roads. Often you cannot tell what's in those hoop houses. So we had a couple cases like that. So thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Ed. Hardy?
Yeah, I was going to mention, I also did a cannabis ride-along, and it was talked about earlier, kind of how do we treat egregious grows, and what was interesting to me is that our staff knows everything about every parcel. They knew every name and player and location and history of everything, and so it's not a question about what we know or don't know, that we're getting there. It's a question about process, because there's a process behind it, so that it takes time, and it's complicated, and there's property rights and all those things that go with it. So I just am really happy about what I saw out there, and the use of the drone obviously it's a great tool. It doesn't get us the whole way there, but I was really happy to be a part of that. I've been doing a lot with Measure V up in Truckee and East County. I know everybody's following that process. Not going to talk a lot about it. Supervisor Schofield and I went to the AQMD meeting, Air Quality Management District meeting. It was great. It was a good one. Particularly coming off the heels of what we've had, smoke from the mosquito fire. And then we're planning our Nevada County Sustainability Summit coming up here on Thursday, which is great. Looking forward to a number of state and federal speakers that are going to talk about sustainability, conservation, and the key between our CCC group and the South Yuba cohort and other multi-jurisdictional entities. So I'm looking forward to sitting down for a couple hours. And then finally, last but not least, our Heart of Gold bike ride took place on Saturday. It was a huge success. I just wanted to thank everybody in the room. Steve was out there. Many staff members from all different departments were there volunteering. Allison's I think she's listened to me talk for 9 months straight every Monday at noon about getting this ride done, and it came out awesome. And we're going to, again, thanks to RCRC for the contributions coming, and Dan Miller, Supervisor Miller's contributions coming from RCRC going toward our Heart of Gold bike ride. And all of our charitable organizations, Bright Futures for Youth and others, were out there, and it was a great day. Bunch of things to think about for next year, but it was just all in all a great success. So thanks again. I just want to share my sincere appreciation for everybody involved.
Yeah, it seemed like it was another great success, Hardy. Great for bringing that to Nevada County, and especially for our youth with mental health. I think that was fantastic to raise that kind of funds. I had a busy week. I think one of my highlights was, busy. I think we all did. There was the Rudiger Foundation, had a fundraiser. We were at Habitat, Street of Dreams, Habitat for Housing, which was amazing. I met with Dan Macon from UCD and had a meet and greet with the new foods processing gal that's going to be here, Olivia. She's going to be a wonderful addition. And Matthew, who is going to be the new 4-H liaison. So really excited about what they're going to bring. Went to a North San Juan community meeting that they had, not to be mixed up with the town hall that we're having next week there. I did a cannabis ride along, saw some tours, really interesting as we're talking about some of the changes that are coming down in our cannabis ordinance. I had a great meeting with Cheryl Ricks from Sammy's Friends. Regional Housing Authority had a great meeting on ag mitigation, and it's a program that's put on as a 501c3. I really look forward to how that might tie into not just necessarily just ag issues, but ag cannabis issues and how we can mitigate some of that with some of our neighbors. I think that's going to be a really important program that we might be able to utilize. Had a really great meeting and met with Colonel Church at Beal and his staff. Had a great overview of what we do and how we collaborate with Beal. Beal brings in a large economic value to our community, and we want them to know how we are invested in them and appreciate what they do. It was fantastic conversation. We talked about Military Appreciation Week. We're looking forward to having that on our agenda, and let's see, when is that? That's coming up. So that's going to be, we're going to do that week for during Veterans Day. Then also I got a tour, which was fantastic, with Lieutenant Colonel Hazelton. I got to go check out the refueling planes and how that all works, and got to climb down there in the plane. It was amazing. And I tell you, that plane was made in 1958, and it was immaculate and still in service. So it's really incredible to see the work that's getting done down there. And again, how we work with them and the programs that we have here, thanks to being open and having those ideas like our military and veterans programs that we have here, our intern program, which is really great, and the jobs positions that we do here and fill with our interns. So those are the highlights, not to mention Regional Housing Authority and a lot of the other meetings that I had. So been a busy week, and now we're at 11:02. So thank you for all the And remember, anybody out there, we are available. If you have questions or concerns, that's what we're here for. We answer our phones and we do return those. So please reach out to your supervisor with those kinds of questions and we can help you with that. So with that, this is exciting, and it's Steve Monahan. He's our Chief Information Officer. And this is exciting. This is a resolution authorizing the Chair of the Board of the Supervisors to sign a memorandum of understanding between Golden State Connect Authority and the County of Nevada regarding the construction improvements, operation, and maintenance of broadband internet service. So Steve, welcome, and our guest, Pat Babcock with RCRC. So happy to have you here today.
Good morning, Chair Hook, honorable board members, Steve Monahan, your Chief Information Officer. Yes, we are very excited to bring this item to your board for hopefully approval this morning. A little background on how we got to this point. On September 28th, 2021, your board approved a MOU and a JPA agreement to become a member of a JPA, which was a new entity, the Golden State Connect Authority, created by RCRC to help rural Californians, all of our rural counties, deploy broadband across the state. So we're a member of the JPA. On August 23rd, just this past couple months ago, your board approved a local agency technical assistance grant through the CPUC, $500,000, and partnering with Golden State Connect Authority on doing engineering and needs assessment and identifying where broadband deployment can happen in our county. So this is the next step of those processes, of those previous two steps, and that is to approve a memorandum of understanding with Golden State Connect Authority to enable them, give them a license to build, create, operate, and maintain internet service infrastructure in Nevada County. Now, we don't know exactly where that is. That's the number one question I always get from people, or where is that going to be? We don't know exactly where that's going to be yet. This will enable Golden State Connect Authority to help do that analysis that we're getting funded through that $500,000 LADA grant, which will pay for that engineering to really determine where it's going to be at. I could say generally, it's where there's not a current wireline provider. So it's not going to overbuild on top of Suddenlink or on top of Comcast or within the city limits. It's going to be unincorporated county where our highest, what we call underserved or unserved residents live. And with that, I'll turn it over to Pat.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chair Hook and board members. I appreciate the opportunity to be here in support of this item and in support of a partnership that is continuing but goes back before the creation of Golden State Connect Authority. Nevada County has long been a leader in this space, and you helped us design Golden State Connect Authority with Steve participating on a working group that helped, along with a number of other rural counties, figure out how we could achieve some economies of scale in addressing broadband in the future and make sure that particularly our smaller counties had the resources they needed to advance in the broadband space. Thus, Golden State Connect Authority was born. Now we're at the next stage in the partnership in terms of pulling down, hopefully, the LADA funds that Steve mentioned to do actual engineering, and then have that actual engineering inform where broadband should be deployed in Nevada County. And it's something that Golden State Connect Authority doesn't do alone. It's a collaboration, it's a partnership. We really look to the county to drive where are the needs, where should broadband be deployed, and we're just a tool to be able to do that for you. So look forward to continuing partnership on that front as those monies come in, engineering gets completed, and we can hopefully move towards construction and deployment at some future stage. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions and voice support for the item. Thank you.
Fantastic. Dan, you've been on the forefront of this. You want to make a first comment?
Well, this is probably one of the most regrettable things that not coming back on the board is not being involved with RCRC and Golden State Connect, because this is probably where the talking's over and now the action begins. And since broadband is a priority of the board, and since Golden State Connect was formed and under RCRC's umbrella, this is exciting that we can go into areas of Nevada County and provide broadband access in the underserved areas, because this is something all rural counties are screaming about. And so up and down the state, Golden State Connect is partnering with other counties to do exactly what we're doing here. But the nice thing about Nevada County is we're shovel ready. You know, thanks to Steve, who did receive the RCRC President's Award because of his involvement with Golden State Connect, we are shovel ready and we're on the top of the heap. And so this is important for us, and this is important for the citizens of Nevada County, students who need broadband access for schoolwork, entrepreneurs who want to operate from home. So this is exciting, and I'm glad Pat's here to present that along with Steve.
Thanks. Hardy?
No, just to thank you for bringing it forward. When I went to RCRC, it was obvious to me we're one of the leaders in this space, and I'm new, so I've had to follow the process from behind, but it wasn't one of the things I look or am concerned about because of the energy I've seen coming from Steve and from Heidi and from Dan and from the board making this a priority. And so thank you for getting the shovel-ready work done in advance so we can capitalize on the grant funding stream that's coming down.
It's exciting, Heidi.
Yeah, this is exciting. Amazing how far we've come. When I started on the board, we didn't even talk about broadband at the board level. I know Steve was working on it, but this is really exciting. I have some just logistics questions to just kind of understand the process. So the JPA is going to do the building of the network. So they're going to hire contractors?
Step back one, and maybe
Yeah.
the JPA will do the building. Part of that
Okay.
is Nevada County needs to decide, once you have the data engineering, what's the right route? You may decide you want to partner with an existing ISP. You may decide that maybe the county wants to do it, or you may decide we'd like to have Golden State Connect Authority do the construction and own the system in the end. If it's Golden State Connect Authority that does it, we have partnered with Utopia Fiber out of the state of Utah. They are Utah's form of a joint powers agency, and they have a long history of deploying open access public broadband systems. So rather than recreate the wheel, we're trying to learn from their expertise, and they're going to serve as a project manager to help guide us in deployment. We would then actually go through procurement processes and bring on a contractor to do actual construction, with Utopia providing a lot of project management assistance to get us through the construction phase. Then once a system is up and running, we'll look to, again, achieve economies of scale through Utopia by using their existing systems for administering that system. At the end of the day, the user, if they're on a Golden State Connect Authority system, will still use a private ISP. And the best way to think of it is, I may have mentioned it during your workshop, is to think of it like an airport where the public agency, in this case Golden State Connect Authority, builds the airport. But private airlines, you still work directly with the private airline to fly in and out. The same would be true of the broadband network, which would there'll be private providers on there, hopefully multiple private providers, so that there is competition. And you as the end user would work with that, pick the ISP that best serves your needs, and they would deliver the service over this publicly owned broadband system.
Okay, that's very helpful. And because it's publicly owned, there are going to be some rules and regulations so that we can't get, like, you're not going to have one person come in and try and do a monopoly, right? Okay, great. And then how is it decided where that network is built? Because it is, the JPA is covering multiple counties, right? So how does that decision get made?
Supervisor Hall, we're going to be looking at inside of Nevada County, unincorporated Nevada County. That's our target area. And to add on to what Pat was saying, there's no one provider or one technology that's going to meet the need of every resident across our diverse topology and large lots and whatnot. So we know we're going to work with multiple providers. They each have a niche in a certain area or a certain technology, and try to get everybody as connected, as many people connected as we can. So it's going to be, maybe Comcast does some expansion adjacent to where they're at, and that makes the most economic sense, right? And then maybe Golden State Connect does a big area. And then we know we're still going to need fixed wireless on the edge to get people where it's just not economically feasible to get a fiber optic cable out that far in our rural areas. So we know it's going to be a hybrid. And this engineering that we're doing with the LADA grant is going to tell us exactly where does it make sense economically to do fiber, where do we need a partner with other providers to get the, we have a fixed amount of money. We want to get as many people connected with that fixed amount of money as possible.
Okay. Okay, so, still, it's coming clearer now, but there's still, there's a chunk of money and there's a bunch of counties in the JPA. So is each county getting a certain allocation so that we're not competing with each other on that?
Through SB 156, every county has a fixed allocation of
Okay.
money through their formula of that $1 billion of rural broadband.
Right.
Our county is allocated about $75 million. And that's just that one program, 156. There's other programs
Right.
too. But we're immediately looking at this SB 156 money. It's really focused for wireline fiber type
Okay.
broadband.
So we could do quite a bit potentially with that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and this JPA is just a way to bring the money through and to get Utopia, this company, involved. Okay, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we were looking at, potentially it could be up to 8,000 fiber to the home projects. Who's going to build and operate
Right.
that? We haven't had local companies that can do that scale
Right.
of a project. Golden State Connect, with their partnership with Utopia Fiber, can do a project of that scale.
Okay, got it. Oh, that's very exciting. Great, thank you for explaining that.
And I think we're going out Greenhorn Road first.
They better. And I mean all the way out. Ed?
Thank you, Chair. So what is going on in addition to this? Are there other companies looking at Nevada County? And are we going to be competing with projects that are happening? I'm just off the top of my head, that question.
Supervisor Schofield, so we have a number of local providers now. We have Suddenlink in your district, we have Comcast, we have Nevada County Fiber, we have Xwire, Smarter Broadband, Race Communications. And we're talking to all of them about, where do they fit? What are the projects? So one of the things that we're working with Sierra Business Council on that we hope to get out in the next month is a request for qualifications. And we're kind of modeling it after one that our neighbor Placer County did about 6 months ago, where we're asking the ISPs, tell us where you want to expand. So we can really map that out real closely and try to, not build on top of each other and use the right company in the right neighborhoods with the right technology. So that's our approach as we look at this.
Okay. And those companies, they can expand, right? I mean, they can just go. There's not that much that they have to do that would prevent them from moving.
Right. They first they have to want to.
Yes, absolutely.
And second, then they have to work with us and work with the funding and the grants and the areas. And this is all based on, the definition of underserved and unserved areas. That's where the grant money will go to. It won't go to downtown Grass Valley that has Comcast, right? Because they're not underserved or unserved. People may not be happy with that service and want to change, but it doesn't qualify for the grant funding.
Well, Steve, thank you for the work that you've put into it, and it's great having RC and Golden State Connect as partner. I guess the big question is, how long will the analysis take now? Because that's the next step, right?
It is, well, the engineering is the next step, and it's
Well-
important that it moves swiftly because the next tranche of funding that Steve referenced, which we refer to as the FFA funding, but that's the 75 million, that's coming next, and we want to have the engineering done so it can inform what projects come as a result of that. So I can't give you an exact timeline, but I can tell you we're already having a kickoff meeting with engineers scheduled for later this month. Even though the CPUC hasn't officially awarded the funds yet, we want to stay on it, we want to stay moving swiftly. And to build on Steve's comments about your earlier question, from Golden State Connect Authority's perspective, we're not looking to compete. We're looking to bring broadband to areas where private providers are either unwilling or unable to deploy broadband. There was a county where one of those areas existed and a private provider, we were looking at doing some work there, and the private provider said, well, we can do that. We said, great. We have more areas that we need to serve than we have time or resources, so the more we can get private providers to do that, that's great for everyone. We'll continue to focus on the areas where they are either unwilling or unable to do so.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And the comment you just made, we're not looking to compete. I don't know if that's good. It seems to me if you had competition, maybe some of these companies that we have would be providing a little better service. But this is a wonderful, wonderful program, and I would thank both of you.
Your point's well taken. I think just by us being there, it's creating some sense of competition, some sense of urgency. And certainly, as I should have worded that more artfully, because where we do deploy fiber, the whole goal is to spur competition. It's just we want to spur competition in the private sector. We don't necessarily want to be the ones competing on that front.
You're here.
Artie?
Question, process question. What's the next kind of chain of events where the board will be involved in the priority setting for the local projects? Is there a time frame on that?
So Supervisor Bullock, right now, we're waiting for our LATA grant, that technical assistance grant, to be awarded. When that gets awarded, we'll be bringing that contract back to your board for approval to receive that money. After that, the engineering would happen. I imagine that'd take several months. So probably in the spring, we would be bringing back some kind of proposed projects. We also want to do that RFQ process that I talked about so that we do that collaboration with local ISPs and we find out what they really want to do and where they want to work. And then, we can kind of pencil out a budget of how can we best leverage that 75 million coming to our community to get the most people connected.
Last question, is the engineering contingent on anticipated project areas? So engineering in a place full of rock and engineering in middle of Placer County are two totally different things. Are we giving conceptual or notional concepts over to the engineering group to look at specific areas?
Correct, Supervisor. So we've already done preliminary kind of just for the LATA grant application. I've worked with Utopia Fiber and we've kind of laid out Nevada County and pretty much the whole county area is open to engineering for the LATA grant. So as we start engaging with an engineering company, we'll pull out the areas that already have service or they don't meet the criteria and really try to find out, what's the best areas for projects.
And one more thing, I guess Golden State Connect Authority has its own board, and it's populated by county supervisors who are on the RCRC Board of Directors. Supervisor Garamendi, I believe, is the chair, and Supervisor Griffiths is the vice chair for that, but it's a board made up of 5 or 6, Pat?
Well, the board is 39, and there's an executive committee that is a smaller group, perhaps.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, great. A lot of good questions. It's pretty exciting to see that really Little Nevada County is right here. Where we've just gone in the last 4 years is incredible. So Steve, we do appreciate your leadership in that here in our county, and Heidi and everyone that's really worked at the Capitol, having those conversations. So I think this is a big step forward. And it's going to be good for our businesses that are here, because the ones that are going to engage, they're going to grow. And that's all about, that's pretty exciting in its own. So anyway, let's open up public comment for this. I don't see any public comment in here this morning, but Julie, do we have any written public comment?
Chair, no written comment or call-ins right now.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you once this gets out and people start talking, there'll be more questions, because that's probably one of the key things we hear on a regular basis here is broadband. What do we need? Service. We have no service, and it is where I live, I have to walk across the street to use my phone, right? So we all know it's a challenge here in a rural. We choose to live rural and we love that, but won't this be a great addition, especially for our kids? I really see that as, I didn't really notice how important that was until COVID came and kids were working at home. I mean, I know what my computer skills are at home, and then to see what the kids went through, I think this is gonna really be huge for them with homework, and everybody does it on the computer now, right? So this is incredible. I've closed public comment. Does anybody have any last comments? If you'd like to come for public comment, we'd love to have you. Come on up. So I'm all open public comment, and yeah, just at the podium right there.
For another reason, but we do own a restaurant in Nevada City where we don't have internet. And so my question is the plan to involve all the areas that are eligible, or is there a process where if there's not enough money to go around, some will be prioritized?
Good question.
Supervisor Hook, the plan is to do the analysis, so we look at the big picture of all areas that are underserved or unserved that would qualify for the grant money. Now, as we do that analysis, that might be a $100 million challenge, and we have 75 million. So then you're going to start looking at connections that are too expensive. So if it costs $20,000 to connect a home with fiber, we might cut that off at 15,000 so that, and then try to get that home with fixed wireless, a more cost-effective solution. So that's the analysis that we're going to look at. So we're going to look at everybody who qualifies per the grant guidelines and then bring those project areas down as we talk to providers and what can they do, what do they bring to the table, what's their investment that they're willing to do to try to get as many connections as possible.
So now, we did a survey, which was interesting. A lot of people turned in the get connected. And that kind of gave us a little bit of a visual overview where people were really having struggles with any kind of internet service. I think that was helpful. I hope everybody turned in their survey. You can sure follow up.
Yeah, thank you. Since you raised that, Nevada City isn't going to be accepted from this if there are people who are not connected within the city limits, right?
We are not working on, Supervisor Hall, we're not working on projects within the city limits of Nevada City. We're looking at unincorporated areas. The city of Nevada City can apply for the same funding. They can do the same things. They can't work with RCRC. Well, actually, they can work with RCRC and Golden State Connect, but we're not engaged in the city. Most of our cities have an incumbent cable provider that per their original franchise, they serve everybody in their city limit. So whether the public commenter is within the city limits or it's a Nevada City address outside of the city limits, I don't know.
Okay, but we could separately work with Nevada City to help them if we realize that they're not getting the service. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Nevada City that's not in the incorporated area. Like for that example, up Highway 20, when you get up to 5 Mile House.
Yeah.
Nevada City out on Cement Hill. Nevada City, the Willow, there you go, the Willow.
Willow Valley Road is a neighborhood that's been needing it, but they're in the Race Communications Gigafy Nevada City project. And a lot of people don't realize they're in a project that's coming. Race just hasn't started that one yet.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So this is pretty exciting again. Well, I really appreciate you for being here today and giving those comments. I mean, there'll be more interaction as we go through the community over time on broadband. And we always appreciate everyone that even calls. And I know it's hard. You live in little valleys. You live on a ridge that doesn't reach the communication area. This is really going to be huge because I think I like the idea too, where this stretches might not always meet everybody, but then a different ISP can connect to that and maybe there'll be different businesses that even start from that. So we'll see. So thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the MOU.
I'll second that.
Oh, great. It's been moved and seconded. Julie, can you call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Chair. District 3?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
And District 4?
District 4, yes. Well, thank you again. Appreciate that. So now, Dan Miller. Let's see what we got here.
I think we're turning it over to Pat.
I think we're going to.
And I promise to be mercifully swift, but if you'll indulge me, I do want to give you a quick overview of RCRC for those that aren't as familiar with RCRC, which is the Rural County Representatives of California. And we talked about one of our family members, which is Golden State Connect Authority, but we have numerous private and public entities that are part of the RCRC family, all of which are designed to serve rural communities. RCRC itself is a mutual benefit corporation made up of 39 rural counties, as you heard earlier, and we are governed by elected supervisors from those 39 counties. We completed a strategic plan over the course of the last year and a half, and I just want to call your attention to the vision, which is on the right-hand portion of the screen, because it's where we're a little bit unique. We seek to be the premier advocate and innovative service provider for rural counties in California, and the broadband item that you just voted on is an example of that, hopefully that innovative service provider. But as you look to the left at the elements that are in our strategic plan, I hope that they look familiar to you. Broadband, housing, forest resiliency, water resiliency. These are the policy topics that really drive us on a daily basis at RCRC. And if you were to look at the plan, you would see that there are actionable strategies under each of those areas that are the roadmap for us for the next couple of years. Just want to talk briefly about some of our affiliate entities. On this slide, we have our two housing entities. Golden State Finance Authority is a joint powers agency. Nevada County is a member. All 39 are a member of Golden State Finance Authority. And National Homebuyers Fund does similar work on a national level, and it is a nonprofit but considered an instrumentality of government. And why that's important is that if you go to purchase a home and you need help with the down payment, there are two ways you can get it under the federally insured programs. And one is you can get it from a family member, and the other is you can get it from a governmental entity. And these are those governmental entities for rural communities. And you can see in Nevada County that 518 people who have received down payment assistance to help them purchase a home. We know that purchasing a home is a major contributor to creating wealth within your family, and it's a major contributor to a healthy community. And so we're looking at ways that we can more effectively help rural communities in the future. In addition, Golden State Finance Authority has been doing financing around energy retrofitting. So if you were doing a solar project on your home, or now we really have a focus on commercial projects. So if there's a commercial business in Nevada County that is looking to potentially add solar or EV infrastructure or any number of energy retrofits or upgrades, there is a financing program available through Golden State Finance Authority. And then on our right is our newest program, which is to help counties with county employee recruitment and retention. And here's where we have a special down payment assistance program that provides greater savings to county employees so that hopefully they can have financial incentive to purchase a home and become part of your community. And that's something that the GSFA board launched over the course of the last year. We've been working individually with counties to help get that word out to your employees so that they know that that is available to them as a benefit as a result of you being in Golden State Finance Authority. Another joint powers agency is ESJPA, or Environmental Services Joint Powers Agency, and it's 26 of our 39 counties are members of ESJPA, and it's primarily to help counties with waste management, waste recycling type regulation. And I think it's in recognition that particularly our smaller counties don't have the resources to keep up with the regulations that are coming out of Cal Recycle, and consequently need economies of scale, need assistance in order to be able to do that. That was the genesis for ESJPA, and it continues to this day. In fact, several counties joined ESJPA over the course of the last year because of, for example, the 1383 regulations and wanting help in navigating those and working directly with Cal Recycle. Cal Recycle participates in each of the board meetings. They're part of a technical group that works with ESJPA, so it provides our ESJPA members a one-stop venue to work directly with the regulatory agencies, again, primarily on waste management type regulations. They are just about to complete an updated business plan, and they're looking at whether they'll stay focused in that area or potentially expand in a few small areas in the future. But that is another one of our joint powers agencies. And then one that you may have heard of, this is a nonprofit, Golden State Natural Resources. This is a forest resiliency company. And GSNR is their primary mission is to help forest health projects on a landscape scale. So they are focused on biomass right now, low market biomass, where there isn't a good place to take that low market biomass. And we're looking at potentially converting it to what's called industrial pellet stock, and then potentially shipping it overseas as a replacement for coal in primarily European countries and Japan. And in so doing, create a market for this biomass, which that in and of itself will hopefully incent additional forest health projects. We know in talking with the Forest Service that there are numerous projects where they've put it out to RFP and no one bids, because of the cost of completing the project. And one of the biggest impediments to that is the low market biomass. So if we can find a sustainable way to use that low market biomass and potentially turn it into a marketable commodity, we'll go a long ways towards seeing forest health projects occur on a landscape scale. This is right now hopefully transitioning from the planning phase to the actual it's going to happen phase. In fact, there's going to be a workshop later this month for the GSNR board and GSFA board to dive more deeply into what are the next steps to bringing this to fruition. So that's an exciting project to be part of. We've talked about Golden State Connect Authority, but you can see the counties in blue. And there's really been three phases that we've been focused on, making sure all of our counties have a broadband strategic plan, and you're ahead of the game compared to many of your colleagues in that regard. Secondly, to give rural counties access to technical experts, and you heard Steve mention that he's already working with Utopia. That's what we've been trying to do. And third is to deploy actual broadband fiber projects, and as you heard, we're on the cusp of hopefully doing that as well. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, as a way of saying thank you for allowing we call him Chair Miller, for allowing Chair Miller to serve as the chair of RCRC over the last year, because we know it's a significant time commitment. As a way of saying thank you, we hold an annual dinner auction as part of our annual dinner, and counties bring baskets that are auctioned off, and the proceeds from that then come back to help nonprofits in the county of the chair. And that's really what we're here to do today, is to $67,000 was raised as part of this year's auction, and so we're here to share those proceeds, and now I'd like to turn it back to Chair Miller to lead that discussion.
Yeah, one of the advantages of being chair is the auction, and it's my responsibility to pick 4 nonprofits in our county to receive the proceeds from the auction. The auction raised $67,150 this year, which is the most that we have ever raised in one of our auctions. And these just aren't little auction baskets. Jeffrey will tell you that it is a pickup load full of items that we collected, and I want to name the companies and individuals that helped us. David and Kelly Dokimos from Dokimos East Main Pharmacy, 5-night stay at their condo on the beach in Nuevo Vallarta, 4 bedrooms, 2,300 square feet. And so the Dokimos, Bart Reeby's Auto Parts, Paco, what's Paco's last name, Hardy?
Lindsay,
Paco Lindsay.
but it's actually the new owners, Russell Hamby.
Okay.
Pacos.
And so I had a challenge with Hardy because we were talking about this, and I said, okay, Hardy, and I wanted an e-bike. You get me an e-bike, and you pick the nonprofit that's going to benefit East County. $4,000 e-bike he comes up with. So Hardy got to pick the nonprofit, and that was part of his Heart of Gold bicycle challenge for East County. Then the Beam Easy Living Center, 55-inch color TV, A to Z Supply, B&C True Value, or Ace Hardware now, or True Value, Jared Johnson at the Range, Jerry Serino from Serino's, Penn Valley Hardware, Scott Gutierrez, 4 battery-powered power tools, which was great. Allison contributed something that will pair well with Jerry's Bloody Mary mix. I didn't say it. Jeffrey put together a basket, and then the bookseller. So Nevada County companies contributed for our Nevada County basket, and which was part of that $67,000 plus. I wanted 4 nonprofits. I wanted a public safety nonprofit. I wanted a nonprofit that dealt with the youth in our county. I wanted a nonprofit that dealt with the seniors in our county, and a nonprofit that dealt with family support services. And so that's why I came up with Hardy and Bright Futures for Youth, Care Crisis Center, Gold Country Senior Services, and the Nevada County Law Enforcement and Fire Prevention Council. 4 nonprofits that do a lot. And I just felt that the money that they're each going to be receiving, $16,787.50, would really help in their missions and what they're trying to do. And so with that, I congratulate everyone that participated in RCRC. Obviously, the auction is fun, and the annual dinner is fun. And Allison got to experience. Kit was there, Hardy was there, Sue was there, Jeffrey was there. Obviously, I was there. But it was it's a serious annual conference. At the same time, we have a lot of fun. And with Pat's leadership now, he sets the tone. But we've got an incredible staff at RCRC that do amazing work at the local level for the individual counties and at the state level advocating for rural county issues. And we've got 39 rural counties now part of RCRC. And when you look at the state of California, we do a lot. And so I am going to miss RCRC. And I think Supervisor Hook gets to step in. Don't let her talk a lot, Pat. Just don't let her talk a lot. But with that, what we've been waiting for, and the first one, Hardy, Pat, we have Bright Futures for Youth. Jennifer, if you'd like to come up. Huh? Yeah, if
So we're going to just do a picture moment first, and then Jennifer, if you want to say a few words, we'll be happy to have you do that. Yeah, we'll do the picture first. We're here.
Then let Jennifer.
Should we get out of the picture? Okay, Jennifer, Bright Futures for Youth. There's the two of you gals.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Supervisors and Hardy and Dan Miller and RCRC. We are accepting this check on behalf of the Heart of Gold, which actually will also benefit not only Bright Futures for Youth, but also Child Advocates in Nevada County, the Tahoe Truckee Health System, and Youth Bicyclists of Nevada County. So we will split those proceeds among our partners. And just thanks to everyone. Thanks to Allison for your leadership and support, and thanks to Hardy for bringing, again, this idea to our community in support of youth mental wellness, and we're really grateful for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next it looks like Gold Country Senior Services.
And so, you get to speak on behalf of Gold Country Senior Services. Ms. Lovejoy.
Okay, hi. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Leslie Lovejoy. I'm the board president for Gold Country Senior Services. I'm astounded. I'm so thankful. I mean, this has come out of the blue during a time when we are trying to build and rebuild a community senior center for this community. We had a senior center many, many years ago, and now we're starting to build it again. Gold Country Senior Services has been around for about 40 years in various iterations, and I'm thrilled. I'm so excited about our organization. We do Meals on Wheels and firewood and things like that, but we need a senior center, and this is going to help. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your support as I'm getting to know all of you. Being new to the county, Allison, thanks so much. All of you, I appreciate it.
Okay, next, Care Crisis Nursery. Sarah and Lynn. You're so so excited, aren't you?
I'm so grateful.
Okay, who's going to talk, Sarah or Lynn?
The Warner girls.
Oh, one more. Oops, give me that back. Yeah, Care Crisis is one of the organizations that I really wanted to help, so there you are.
You are so great. I can't even tell you how thankful we are. Sue, it's so good to see you. So many friends here. This is huge for the Care Nursery. Our childcare took a big hit during the pandemic. It's kind of hard to keep all those little kids safe and healthy in the situation that we had. So this is going to go so far to help us get that back on our feet. That being said, we had our 17th anniversary this year. So that's pretty exciting. And we've served over 4,600 children. So thank you for letting us do more.
I just want to say one thing. As a pediatrician, the last few years with COVID, we're really seeing the stress on the families, and the Care Nursery is such an important part of helping these families to cope during times when they might kind of be at the end of their rope. I also would like to say that I'd be happy to donate pie next year to the auction, so, because I do make pies to help support the nursery.
Okay, Nevada County Law Enforcement and Fire Prevention Council protect.
Can we still count the check or cash it if it's not right?
Lorraine. Easy. Easy. And this was my first pick. Just a no-brainer for me because I know what they do for law enforcement and fire protection as far as providing equipment that isn't budgeted. And so Lorraine is the incoming, she's a brand new president, brand new. And so I believe this is really going to help them in their assistance to law enforcement and fire prevention or protection, prevention. Okay. Lorraine.
I'd like to trade this $16,787.50 check for this beautifully framed 8.5 by 11 full color plaque that said, thanks Dan Miller for his decades of dedication to the law enforcement and fire protection council and first responders. And it talks about all his work and that since its inception in 1999, we've donated more than $1.1 million, and this money is going to go a long way to helping that.
And I guess I have to turn this back over to Sue, right? So thank you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the work that you do, because it's important for our county. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks, RCRC. It's always moving to see how people engage with philanthropy, because really that's what this is all about. And when I get to look out here and see where all this dollars went, it just makes my heart feel good. Remind people to buy your pies at Care Christ, the best pies ever. So if you need a pie, call Sarah. And I love Sarah. So what she does. And, you know, really, we just hit all these great nonprofits here. There's so many in our community, and we're going to get to watch it in action. So that's what's even more exciting. So thank you all for being here, and congratulations. So, and with that, we are, okay, Dan, go ahead. And he says I
we
talk
have
about.
we have a lunch upstairs for everyone and county staff. So please join us upstairs to talk and chatter. So
Do a little more
that's we have
celebrating.
upstairs. Okay.
And with that, we are not going to have an afternoon session today, so I will just say this meeting is adjourned. So have a great rest of the week, everyone.